Hey everyone, today's video is actually short. The entire goal is just to wrap up the progress of the Caustic Arrow Trickster on Mayhem. I'll be going over the gear I managed to acquire, the progress I made and other thoughts I have about the event. And I am doing this because I want to showcase that a Caustic Arrow Trickster is definitely a viable build for these types of events. But also because despite a previous plan with relatively realistic gear choices and pre-planning, sometimes reality can be a bit different and you're forced to compensate on the go. Which is something that I had to do and it still worked out just fine, but we'll get there in a bit. So with all of that said, hey, if you are new around here, be sure to subscribe to the channel, otherwise I'd like to hear your experience with the Mayhem event. I am 100% sure that a good chunk of the player base who participated dropped the event as soon as they reached the loot box level requirement. Whether it's due to the rather volatile experience with Mayhem or maybe people weren't as invested into the event. Still, I wanna know your opinions, so let me know down in the comments where your adventure ended. And with that said, let's talk about Caustic Mayhem stuff. I wanna begin with the gear, just like the previous video, because I am quite proud of the stuff I got, despite some setbacks that we are gonna discuss in a bit. With that said, the most important thing and also the item that I'm still kinda surprised about is the bow. 6 linked, plus 1 level of socketed gems, plus 2 level of socketed bow gems, and damage over time multiplier. I paid roughly 200 cows for the bow without the plus 1 level to socketed gems. I was able to craft cannot roll attack mods and slam an Exile to get that modifier. Generally speaking, I cannot think of a better weapon to use in a timed event with such a scuffed economy. So yeah, this one was an absolute score. Moving on, the first thing that does not compute or relate to the original plan is the body armor. Instead of a Carcass Jack, I am using Cherubim's Maleficence. This is because Carcass Jack was like 150 cows when I was saving up currency to get the bow, so I figured that going with Cherubims was the best second option. The third change to the plan was the Curse on Hit ring. Massive mistake on my part expecting a Curse on Hit ring to be accessible. It wasn't, at all. So the next best option was Profane Proxy, with the spares socketed inside. If you equip this ring on your left slot, the Chilling Skitterbot applies the Hex instead. Since the Chilling Skitterbot is generally useless and these rings were like 12 cows, I genuinely think that this option was a no-brainer. Next change, well, not precisely a change, but something that was actually a backup. It makes sense if you watch the guide, but I'm using a belt with increased chaos damage, life and resistances, which also had an open prefix for that increased damage craft. I got this on day 2 for like 30 cows and I genuinely think I got lucky. Sure, a Stygian Vice or a Darkness Enthroned with good Abyssal Jewels would have been a better option, but this belt is a solid item regardless. And from there on out, everything is strictly what I wanted. I'm not gonna go over them because it is pretty much the same ideas I had on the previous video. However, I want to use the amulet as the segue into the skill tree. The amulet was actually crafted with Essences of Envy, Lucky Craft and Usable Roll, which is all that matters. As for the Anoint though, I am using Avatar of the Hunt instead of Aspect of the Eagle. That choice happened because I am not following the original plan. I did not build towards corruption, focusing on the dexterity side of the skill tree and also speccing into Aspect of the Eagle in the tree. Was it a bad choice? Well, if this event were a non-voided league type content, then yes, it is a terrible choice. However, on an event where speed and reaching 90 plus is the goal, then I will say that it was a smart choice. It does drop the DPS though, so maybe not super justifiable in the end. Besides that, there is a fat elephant in this room, and that is the fact that the character is a level 92 Trickster. Unfortunately, I am currently kinda busy outside YouTube and Path of Exile, so I cannot keep no life in the event, which is why the character will wrap his adventure at that level. It is a bit annoying, but it's unforeseen stuff that hex with the schedule. Anyways, coming back to the Trickster, everything else aside from not mapping towards corruption is genuinely the same as the build plan, though the jewels did see some changes, from 2 DPS modifiers to a single one, to keep them cheap and also realistic since there weren't many options to choose from. But from there on out, I'd say that I was able to achieve most of what I pre-planned, which is great, I think. And with all of that out of the way, let's wrap this adventure up. With all honesty, I was going at turtle pace, as it took me roughly 3 days to get to level 92. The character died 3 times in total, which does annoy me, but it's okay in the end. Though I got the overlap done by day 2, which I do consider an achievement because on regular league stuff it takes me like 5 days to achieve that. Besides that, I did complete 101 maps out of 154. I did find a Shaper Guardian map which apparently when completed during Mayhem would have triggered 154 map completions. Because reasons? But that got sold to finance some of the gear instead. Talking about currency gambles, I lived off the Chaos recipe for this entire event. I even used my quad tab to collect Chaos recipe gear. I normally don't do the Chaos recipe for more than 20 Chaos, but this time around I went overboard. However, it kinda made sense. Thanks to the amount of rogue exiles, invasion bosses, strong boxes and harbingers, it was a little bit impossible not to finish a map without having enough gear to vendor for 2 Chaos. At one point I did find a 6-linked Kondos Pride which sold for 80 Chaos. I also found a Tabula which sold for 20. And sorry for not recording those as I completely forgot about it, so you'll have to trust me on that one. Anyways, from there I spammed the Chaos recipe, flipping Fuse Orbs, Ancient Orbs and Harbinger Orbs. I did find an Exile on my last day of playtime, but they weren't worth much. Surprisingly though, the character wasn't as expensive to put together, considering the short duration of the event, which allowed me to stock up on even more currency than I needed. However, I was saving up Chaos Orbs to get an Empower level 3, but since I had to cut this short I gave up on making currency. The Empower would have come in handy, especially in the map clear department, but slower projectiles did just fine. All in all, a rather fun event. The build I chose could not be more perfect. It was easy to play with, it made Mayhem feel non-challenging like 90% of the time, and overall it was a chill and fun character. As I said, it ended up being quite cheap despite the challenge of the event as a whole, which did make this even more enjoyable. With more time available, I would have loved to push to 95, but this time around it just wasn't in the cards. So yeah, if Mayhem ever comes around, do keep Caustic Arrow in your mind. Super simple build to put together and easy to manage. Hell, if you want to start the flashback event with this one, I don't think that you'll have any trouble achieving the same progress, if not more. And with that said, I'm out. Thank you so much for watching. The Delve event build is still pending, so keep an eye out for that, and I genuinely hope that you found this video useful. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you again later this week with that video. Take care, have a nice week, and peace out.